we tend to be in a rush. So much these days that we've forgotten about the little things. Passing through rather than making time to see the towns, the high streets that we live at. And they form a rat race meant that we have lost sight of the little things. The little things that gives us meaning to who we are. It's the tours that we do that actually gives me meaning now in the present day. The natural environment of Singaporeans, where would that be? How is it that the way that we behave is different? Is it because of our inherent way that we are brought up or the way that we think? And for tourists, it's actually not too obvious. You see a high street, the same high street brands, they assume that the country, the people, the way that we think are exactly the same. But the truth to be said, Singaporeans are different. Singapore is thought of as being boring, soulless and expensive. We wanted to change that. Our area is known by 3 names. Okay. Locals may call to this area as East Coast. Okay. The 2 other names are Katong and Juche. Let's talk about Katong first. Katong is actually a form of sea turtles because the Katong turtle used to come up to our shores, which used to look like this, and used to come on the shore to lay their eggs and come back every single year. A lot of things. I think Singapore has the soul, but for the visitor to understand the soul, it actually means beyond the core tourist districts. It means also having conversations with real Singaporeans. That is getting out onto the little towns and actually making time for individual experiences. The marketplaces as such, I love markets. And the markets are always a great place to get a sense about what's happening in the neighborhood, be it a hawker center or wet market. So that is something that I think that can be developed into a more varied experience. I believe that I am a proud Singaporean. I am a proud Singaporean. I'm fiercely Singaporean. I've been away for a long time and constantly meeting with new people from different countries, having explained about what makes Singaporeans different from our direct neighbours. One of the things that a lot of tourists don't realise is that corridors in HDB are public access. And as HDB apartments get built up higher, social environment has moved from the ground to the higher levels. For example, the latest project, Pinnacles at Duxton, have gardens in the sky, have communal areas and playgrounds high up above the ground level. So we take the tourists up to the HDB void deck as well to a higher level floors where the 5-foot-way corridors and upper floors give them a bird's eye view of the environment. To the horizon, over 85% of the population live like this. So we're in a very typical HDB block right now, at Block 4 Juche Complex. Most of these apartments here are 2-bedroom, 3-bedroom apartments. And just to give you a clue, in Juche Katong district, for example, being the largest architecture conservation district, it even impresses the tourists because you can see how modern apartment blocks can coincide with old 100-year-old properties. And it's that mix that creates depth and also creates an opportunity for discussion about how, in terms of the living condition, how has it changed with time. I had a very different kind of childhood. I actually grew up on a farm in Serangoon Gardens on my grandmother's farm. I still remember that first 12 years of my life, my first film, Age 6, was in the former Paramount Cinema. And that location eventually became an ice skating rink. It became a supermarket called Fitzpatrick, and later on evolved to be some kind of entertainment complex, and recently in the last year or so it's been totally torn down. The little stories about what happened around that area. So Serangoon Gardens actually makes me nostalgic about the past as well. My sense of attachment to heritage actually came from the fact that I was returning home. I was wanting to create accommodation for backpackers because I used to backpack myself. And beyond that, it's showing how these young people, how Singapore can be appreciated. Singapore is not just about the large-scale projects, the large-scale projects are important. But Singapore is also important about its sense of identity in the small neighborhoods where the real Singaporeans live. So for that, as an instance, my tours tend to be going into the smaller neighborhoods, showing about our lifestyles. And that's the part that really makes us us. As far as community is concerned, there's no other district in Singapore that's so proud, fiercely proud about its identity. So for us setting up a backpackers hostel, trying to showcase Singapore identity, Singapore culture, I feel that Joo Chiat Katong is the only place to be. It's the people that's here, the memories they have, the little stories about who's who did what. And as you walk down the street, the friendly faces that you meet, they'll ask you how you are, and sit down and have long conversation on what's going on. I think that's what makes Joo Chiat Katong special. And because of the community that's here, the diversity of people that's here, the food itself is special. What is interesting about just pineapple tarts alone, it's not just the Chinese people that eat it, it's also the Malay as well as the Indian people eat it. And a lot of the Chinese here in this part of the world are Hokkien Chinese. Pineapple sounds like, its name in Hokkien sounds like Ong Lai, which means fortune come to you. So they make pineapple cookies as like a symbol of good luck as well. On average, we consume about 20 types of food. And if you talk about the individual dishes in a 6-hour tour, we consume over 40 items. Singapore actually do not produce, we don't have much of agriculture. Over 95% of our food source come from overseas. But there's some things that you may not have tasted before, so that's why we're here. Come a bit closer, otherwise you won't know what's... So we choose the various restaurants and food stalls deliberately. Usually it's because of the quality of the food first. Second is that we have a chef or restaurant owner that is very cordial and very welcoming to tourists. And they love to chat. I love people who love to chat. And when they are able to describe the process of cooking, the reason why they are here, the reason why they have created foods of a certain type, it gives that depth to the experience, because you don't see that it's just about sampling of the food. It's the stories around and behind the restaurant. And this actually gives the tour a lot of meaning, and that's the real Singapore, the real people behind the real foods. Singaporeans can choose to be working in many places around the world, but many of us choose to stay back home. And for that, it's not just because of comfort, nor a sense of family or nostalgia. A lot of times it's because we also feel there's a lot of work that needs to be done here, still, in order for a country to continue to grow. And I've been here now for about 10 years, and it is quite nice to see that the neighbours that's in Joo Chiat Katong actually regards me as one of them. So that makes me appreciate it, that's why I'm here.